listening to this week's episode of Pre-Brawl, your prep show for the Tavern Brawl in Hearthstone, part of the Hearth Podcast. Hey, and welcome to the Pre-Brawl episode 2 for the week of 6/24 to 6/28. My name is Christopher Puner, and with me again, like the first Pre-Brawl, I've got an Aidan Rockarts.
That's me.
What's up, mate?
Same old stuff.
Same old stuff, except that now we got some new things to do, because it's a new Pre-Brawl episode about a new Tavern Brawl this week. And what is this week's Brawl all about?
Oh, this week's Brawl is bananas.
Oh,
Literally.
Oh my god. Oh, man. Wow, we didn't even write that. That just happened.
Yeah.
I thought it, all right.
No, but no special cards, no special specific class, no Brawl cards, But whenever one of your minion dies, you get a banana card. Not just the regular one banana, but you can get one of 4 bananas. You get either a rotten banana, which deals 1 damage to a target minion. Your normal banana, which is the +1/1 to your attack and defense on a minion. Your deviant banana, or is it deviant banana, which swaps a minion?
Yeah, the deviant banana.
Yep, which swaps a minion's attack and health, and the big banana, which is a +2/2 to the attack and defense of a monster.
And all these for 1 mana.
Yeah, they're all 1 mana spells.
Mm-hmm. So as Aidan was saying, there's no special cards or anything like that, so you're going to be required to construct a deck to participate in this week's Tavern Brawl yourself. You only have 1 deck slot. If you want to make a new deck somewhere along the way, you're going to have to, delete this one and then make a new one, which kind of stinks. Frost and I were both just talking about how we wish we could make new decks and different ones and try different stuff out, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to just construct over and over. But I mean, it is only a week long, so
the technology's not there yet, Chris.
I don't understand. If only there was somewhere else in the game where they had that,
Yeah, really.
That's kind of, it's a little weird. It's just weird. But yeah, there's no class restrictions. There's no card restrictions or anything like that. The only thing is that if you play King Mukla, it's not special. It just gives the other person the normal bananas and stuff. So even that's not really that different. But in as simple as a mechanic as this sounds like, just giving you bananas, one of these random bananas, whenever a minion dies, it kind of shakes it up a little bit. And by a little bit, it's probably in ways you wouldn't necessarily expect. So we're just gonna kind of walk through some basic strategies so you guys can hop in there with your head above water before so you don't have to thrash around and try to figure it out right away. Because we did a little bit of that thrashing for you. Except I just watched Aidan play his first game and he had a deck that blew mine out of the water. So yeah. Let's talk about some easy deck building strategies. So Aidan, when we're building a deck for this week's Tavern Brawl with the bananas, what is the general concept that we want to get? How do I get the maximum amount of efficiency out of this mechanic?
Yeah, so we'll talk about some good ideas rather than some fun ideas. We'll get to some fun decks later, I think. But I mean, Right now we'll talk about how you're going to get that first pack. So pretty well every single the classes that you want to play are all classes that are going to play aggro decks. You want to play the classic Warlock Zoo, the Face Hunter, the Mid-Range Hunter, any mage deck really. You want to play all these really, really heavy aggro decks. So when you trade your minions, you get crazy value with these bananas from them. But you don't want to play decks like Priest or Paladin or Control Warrior, because when you trade, your minions are still alive and you're just giving them spells, which are really, really, really good. So you want to play as many aggro decks as you can.
So the one question I have about the decks you just mentioned was the Warlock one. If you're using your hero power, and you're trading a lot of minions, let's just say you have implosions and stuff like that, and you're just trading these guys in so that you get all these bananas in your hand, don't you run the risk of filling up your hand too quickly?
Yeah, of course Warlock runs that risk. It's a good class because you can play as many, in Zoo, for example. Zoo is popular with Warlock because you can, but let's say turn 1 you can play a 1-drop, turn 2 you can play a 1/1 or a 2-drop. but by the time you get to turn like 6, you can draw more cards and then play all these like 1 and 2 drops. So you're not even going to really run into that problem. I've seen some people like overdraw once or twice in a game where I like completely trade their board, but really you're going to be playing your hand pretty well every single turn if you're playing Warlock or something Zoo related.
And with this mechanic, you just fill your hand back up with like buffs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They can be used as long as you have minions in the field. So
yeah, or I mean, the rotten banana you can just use for damage, even face if you want to do that. It sounds like a weird investment, but if that's what you need, that's what you need. So basically, like Frost was saying, you're gonna be doing some aggro decks. Let's talk about some cards that are generally bad in regular constructed, but are now good because of the way that this brawl is different.
Yeah, so I'll go through like the way that I made my mage deck, because I think mage is one of the classes that benefits the most from this mechanic. So I wouldn't call them, I'll go through the cards that are just like were decent and then are like god tier now, and then I'll go into some ones that are completely just changed how they're played. So before we had cards like Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is a 2 mana 3/2, which reduces your spells by 1 mana. So when you have that card on the field, all of your bananas cost 0 mana. So you can literally trade and just keep putting these spells on your minions and keep getting these better trades off. So like Sorcerer Apprentice by yourself is just an amazing 2-drop. So if you're playing a mage deck, you 100% want her in your deck. But like then you have other cards like Violet Teacher. Violet Teacher, whenever you use a spell, you summon a 1/1. So not only are you getting another minion to trade to get another spell, but you have all these extra bananas to use to get these 1/1s.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and then you have, like, of course, if you have the dust to craft an Archmage Antonidas, like, once again, he's probably the best legendary in the game for this mode, because every single time you use a spell, you get a fireball. So, I mean, if you get, like, 3 or 4 bananas off with your Antonidas, then you win the game.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if you look at other classes, you have stuff like Call of the Hounds for Hunter, which, if they have a full board, you summon all these hounds, you trade them all in, and then you get a ton of spells to actually, like, put yourself back into the game. So
release the value. That card.
Yeah, release the value. Really.
Yeah.
Or, like, you even mentioned Implosion earlier. Implosion is crazy for this game mode.
Anixia, if you get that far.
Yeah, really.
I don't think you will, but
yeah.
I don't think you will, unless you're playing Ramp Druid and you just happen to pull the perfect, like, combo up to that point.
Yeah, really.
But
like the cards that we were mentioning earlier, there's some cards that were absolutely terrible in normal constructed unless you're playing a deck completely built around them, but are actually pretty good right now. An example of that is the Mage Secret Spellbender. Spellbender is a secret that when an enemy casts a spell on a minion, summon a new 1/3 as the new target. So let's just say they play a big banana on their creature, right? And you have that secret. So now their big banana goes from their instead of going on their creature, it goes on your 1/3. So you now have a 3/5, which is crazy. It's like that's crazy value. It's like now you have a 3/5 because they used a 1 mana spell on their creature. Like, I've never seen that card used and constructed, but like I've been running it and I've been having great success with it.
What's the mana cost of that card? Secret?
All mage secrets are 3 mana.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, and so then legendary I've been experimenting with is Gazlowe. Gazlowe is pretty bad in constructed, but it is a 6 mana 3/6. Legendary. Whenever you cast a 1 mana spell, add a random mech to your hand. So as you can tell, by the time you like burn through all your like early cards with this mage deck, and you play Gazlowe and you have all these like little spells in your hand, you can just get a ton more mechs, a ton more minions to last you through the end of the game, which is, I think it's been great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another card we didn't mention was the Imp Master.
Oh yeah.
That one you could get. I'm just thinking about cards that generate other minions for you. You get a lot of extra value out of things like the Tusker, what's the Razorfen Hunter, the Murloc Raider, the ones that are not
the charge minions. You're talking
yes. Well, no, the charge minions, and then the ones that summon something with them.
Okay, yeah. Like Dragon Knight. Sorry, I'm trying to think of its name. The 2/4 that summons the 2/1.
Yes, anything like that.
Yeah. They're normally not great cards. They're like below average, but now they're great because you get another minion to get another spell from, which is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. How about decks that normally work in meta, but now all of a sudden just don't because they trip up from this mechanic? Like, what do you think? Like, what comes to mind? Like, first of all.
So originally I was thinking decks that try to trade very productively would be bad because they get the spell, the opponent gets the spell, but you don't. For example, if you look at Druid, you're playing these crazy cost-effective minions. Druid has the Druid of the Flame, which is a 2-mana card, which can either be a 5/2 or a 2/5. So it's pretty well, you always use it as a 2/5. And a 3-mana 2/5 it trades into everything really, really well. So yeah, you're killing their minion, but they're just going to play Zoo and they're just going to summon another minion, but with a buff this time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, decks that trade well aren't that great. You really want to play aggro decks. So even if you look at stuff like control decks, like if you look at a control warrior deck, yeah, great, you're clearing their board every turn. But Control Warrior is like a good class in normal constructed because you can trade and you can last until late game. But now you're just trading, you're just giving them all these buffs to which they can come back even stronger every single time.
Right. Yeah, if they fill the board with all these like 2/1s, 1/1s, 3/1s, and then you just clear them all, like, okay, they'll just do it again and now they'll come back as
3/2s.
Yeah.
2/2s,
exactly.
Everything's stronger.
Yeah, pretty much. Now what about Patron Warrior? Now what do you think about that?
So people have been telling me that classes that run the only type of warrior classes that are good are stuff that runs Whirlwind and stuff like that, because you're trading a lot. Like if you look at Patron Warrior, I guess you're trading early game, so you're getting a bunch of these spells, and then as soon as you get your Patron combo, I guess it's not going to change the game. Like you're going to win, I guess, but will you make it to that point? You know what I mean? Like you're going to mainly be playing against Warlock decks, Face Hunter decks, Mage decks. And if you don't draw the right removal for the early, like, first 6 or 7 turns, or if you don't draw your your Warsong Patron combo, you're probably not going to win that game. So, I mean, you could probably win with it, but it's probably better in Constructed than it is here.
Right. Okay.
Would you like to talk about some fun decks that people might want to play?
I would. Go for it. I don't really want to talk about the deck I make because it's trash.
Yeah, your deck's absolute trash.
It is. There's not a single spell in it. It's all just minions. But I won my first game in 3 turns, so I mean, I wouldn't shit on it. Too bad.
Yeah, if you draw that right combo, it's great. But anyway, so the deck that I've been looking at that I'm probably going to try out, I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard a lot of success from people, is running mill decks. Mill decks are traditionally bad because the point of a mill deck is you play cards like Naturalize, which is a 1-mana remove the enemy minion, but then they draw 2 cards. Or you play all these cards that make both players draw cards. So the reason why that deck is bad is because you don't have really good minions and you're making them draw their entire deck. So eventually they're going to get the cards that they need to win the game, because obviously when you build the deck to win a game. So
right,
you're eventually
there is a win condition inherent in some sort of combo.
Yeah, and you're just drawing it for them eventually. So the reason why it's good here is because every single time you use one of these spells to remove their minions or clear their board or make them draw, you're giving them these 1-mana spells. Like traditionally in these mill decks, you'll run Mukla, because you can play it, give them 2 bananas, and then make them draw a bunch of stuff and burn their good cards. So you're pretty well doing this, but without playing Mukla, which is great. So I'm going to try that out, because I think that playing a mill deck would be a lot of fun. I think if you can survive past like the first 5 turns against a Face Hunter or a Mech Mage or a Tempo Mage, you can probably win with the mill deck, and it would be a ton of fun to play. But I think it's still going to struggle those first couple turns.
I've lost against a mill deck in Constructed, so I have I've got nothing to I've got nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. My first initial reaction was, okay, just lots of 1-drops. And I'm coming from a Magic background, so instantly I was like, White Weenie. You're like, what's the equivalent of a White Weenie in Hearthstone? Oh, Murloc decks, right? So I was just playing, I just built a Murloc deck and just threw a bunch of stuff in there with like spawning extra minions like we were talking about before. And while it didn't stand up to what Frost was running at the time when we played against each other, it did go well against the people that were still trying to figure it out. So there was a ton of different ways to cheese victory out, and there's a ton of different ways to be smart about getting your victory as well. Not quite like last Pre-Brawl, or the last Tavern Brawl, I'm sorry, with the themed decks, the Ragnaros and the Nefarian. So Aidan, it's kind of like one of the last things that we talk about. How do you compare these two events? Like, which do you think is better? Do you think that the constructed deck with like the theme and like the unique sort of like setting was cool, or do you like this whole familiar gameplay but with like a twist sort of thing?
See, I think I like this one more because I get to actually the part that I like the most about Hearthstone is deck building. I think that's the reason why it's such a great card game, because you can try out all these new and fun things and see what works against what. Who knows, maybe this crazy mill deck might only work against Face Hunter, you know? And you can figure that out, and then it's like something that you learn through playing and building decks. But the Nefarian versus Ragnaros one, I loved it because it was completely new. It was like a completely different game for the most part. So I mean, I guess it appeals to two different people. Like people who don't have huge collections of like cards and stuff, I guess they'd probably prefer the other one because they can't build all these new decks, you know what I mean? But
Right.
I don't know. I guess I enjoy deck building more than the pre-made ones, but I think they're nice to have once in a while.
Okay. I actually feel the opposite. While I do like deck building, I feel like there's kind of an inherent frustration in the fact that we can only build one deck at a time with this mode, and so there's not like a very productive way to like experiment and change things around. It's like, what if I wanted to play the same sort of deck, but as a shaman, I'd have to tear it down and switch my class and rebuild the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's
pull out that notepad.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, it's I mean, it's fun if you're really committed to a certain sort of thing. And again, it's only 5 days. What am I really complaining about? But I really liked the themed decks because then there are people that don't understand the depth of the game and they don't know all of the cards because they haven't seen them, they haven't made them, they aren't quite sure how good it is really when it's played on the board. I mean, after a while, right? You have played enough and you're experienced enough and you've played a lot of arena and you've played ranked, you get up there and stuff every single season. But there are people like me that sit mid-range, and I'm like at 15 right now. And for me, I'm happy with that. That's not bad. But I haven't seen every single card in the game. I haven't gone up against a lot of constructed decks that are really high-end and stuff like that. While I enjoy deck building, there is a vast amount of that sort of stuff that I've never even touched and I'm not aware of. So it's kind of a relief where I get to just play it out with somebody and practice like mechanics like smart trading, you know, being really intelligent with the cards that I have in hand instead of worrying about, is this card even good in this deck? Like, it's more comforting, you know, for a newer player to do these sort of themed decks instead of this twist on the game.
I feel like it's a lot more work for them, obviously, to make these themed decks. Like, I do appreciate them for how much effort obviously goes into creating them, because you saw all those crazy cards that they created. Like a lot of them are from the BlackRock expansion, so I mean they just pulled them from there. But a lot of them are like new creations, so it's much easier for them just to say, "Hey, this week we're going to say you can add 5 of any card into your deck." You know what I mean? Like just make instead of having a maximum of 2 of every card, you can have 5. It's just like that would be such an easy change for them, and it would completely change the game. Like people would just start running like crazy spells, you know?
Yeah, that would be, I agree. I mean, I suppose this has kind of opened my eyes to realizing that there are different types of Hearthstone players.
Yeah, really. Like,
yeah,
it's just really cool. Like, I'm sure people. It's a great marketing move for Blizzard. Like now people are gonna say, "Oh crap, I want to go buy more packs so I can like build all these crazy decks." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to have every legendary to try them out in these new things. Like I crafted Gazlo for this because I thought he'd be really good in it.
Yeah, normally there would be almost no reason for you to do so, and now because his viability goes up, you want to play with him and try him out while he's still good.
Yeah, and he's a lot of fun to play with. That, and I think I'll continue to do that whenever I see like, oh, this card would be really good in this deck, and I'll go out of my way to craft it now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think that's about it. Unless you got any closing thoughts about this. This is pretty much kind of like an open sort of sandbox, like experimentation sort of thing. But I hope that what we had to say, mostly what Aidan had to say, gives you guys some structure and some ideas on what you want to do moving forward for the next 5 days or so. Do you have anything else to want to say about this, or
nothing too no it's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, with that I think we're gonna wrap this guy up. We'll see you guys. Today is Wednesday, in 4 days for the new episode of The Hearth, and if you listen to Leadcast, that is coming out tonight. If you guys want to send us an email, send it to thehearthshow@gmail.com. And then as I'm thinking about it now, I don't think I plugged a lot of stuff last time, so if you guys listen to this and you haven't listened to the actual show, I would recommend doing that. But here's all the information I would normally share on there. You can also send us a voicemail at 681-443-2784. Follow us on Twitter at Hearth Podcast. Like us on Facebook, just facebook.com/thehearth. and support us on Patreon if you'd like to get the show like a day early and a couple other cool things. We're going to be doing exclusive monthly videos. There's an example of one up already of us doing a full arena run as a paladin. It's pretty fun. It's me, Matt, and Aidan doing it. It's funny, kind of, because I mess up. It's a good time. And you can check that out by going to Patreon, patreon.com/The Hearth, and taking a look around. And that's going to do it for us now. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.